Hello, and welcome back to Amanda's Playbook. I realized that I'm talking a lot about influence, and I don't think I've actually done a video on what is influence. One of the reasons that I think I'm so fascinated by it is because nothing teaches you the power of influence than when you don't have it. And it's a very kind of flowing, abstract term, kind of like love, kind of like trust. Like, what is it? Here's what I think. We know more about influence when we start looking at what it's not. I think that the term gets this negative connotation because it's often misinterpreted as the same thing as attention or fame or popularity or social media. And all of those things can be influential, but they are tactics. They are not actually influence in itself. The people, the brand, the companies, the decisions that are successful by means of that get the outcomes that you set out to achieve, are those that are able to affect those actions. They are able to have influence. So what is influence? Misconception number one is that attention equals influence. We talk about things like the attention economy, attention is currency. And that might have been true. And I agree, attention is extremely important. It's a precursor. You can't have influence without someone being aware of you. But in and of itself, it's not influence. And the confusion gets trapped, especially in marketing and PR and advertising, and when brands talk about why their campaigns are failing, why they're not working. We have so many things that we are aware of, like are competing for our attention at every minute. I mean, just go into a Starbucks and watch somebody scrolling on their phone. They're toggling between 17 apps at one time. They are aware. So just simply getting someone's attention is not enough. Attention without trust is just noise. The best way that I've come to explain it is that influence is attention plus trust. Yes, you're aware of something. You drive by the same billboard every week. There's a new Netflix show on. You happen to notice it. You're aware of it. And then maybe this weekend you're at lunch with colleagues, friends, or family, and someone mentions what an excellent series they're watching, and it's familiar to you. That frequency goes, oh, and now you're like, wait a second, maybe I should watch. And you tune in and you watch that show. Now, when you attribute what was influential about that, was it the billboard itself? No. And was it necessarily just the comment from a friend? Not necessarily either, but it's the combined forces. So we can't even attribute a direct weight. It's a beautiful force. And that leads me to the next point, which is what is trust? And I've struggled with this term, especially in business education, where businesses want to quantify things and you can't say, well, it's fluffy and this and that. But a great way to think about it is that all that can be measured is not necessarily quantified. And a lot of marketing behavior is observational. And when the data and the story don't match, often default to the story versus the data. Let me put this into practice for you. So, for example, when I ask, what is trust? What makes you trust someone? You get a lot of responses that are like credibility, experience, recommendations, like all of these things that actually kind of fall into I just call them in the experience bucket. But when I said that the colleague, let's say the friend of yours at lunch recommended the show, are they a television critic? Maybe, but likely not. Or when a friend recommends this excellent supplement because she's feeling so good, so you've got to get this supplement. Now her energy is so great, and you buy the supplement. Is she a health practitioner? Is she a dietitian, nutritionist? None of the above. But you believe that she has your best interests at heart. So that is called benevolence, believing that someone has your best interest at heart. And benevolence and experience are both factors that make you trust people. But what I've learned, even though you can't do an exact weighted distribution of trust, when you trust someone because you think they have their best interest at heart, like your mother, your sister, your best friend, you are more likely to trust them even if they don't have the required experience on paper. But we don't usually say that because that's not rational. But we're not necessarily rational. We are emotional beings, and that drives a lot of our behavior and decisions, whether we consciously realize it or not. And so all of this to say that in order for us to really become influential, build influential brands, have our emails opened, our self-promoted, we want that corner office, whatever it is that you want, you have to understand influence. And what influence really is, it's not just a bunch of social media metrics. It's not just a bunch of fans and likes and passive likes. It is the ability to affect the desired action. And the forces of influence, you have to understand what are the forces in every specific circumstance that are going to affect that action. And understanding that is the first step on really understanding influence. That changes the whole game, right? No longer is it about, okay, which social media platform? Maybe that's a tactic, but start with what am I trying to actually achieve? And who are the forces, the people, the brands that have to get behind it, the politicians, the votes that need to happen to achieve this outcome? Influence equals attention plus trust. And I just bucket into two categories. I know I'm simplifying this big time. Experience, benevolence. And there you have it, the influence equation. I would love to hear from you. Does that challenge what your kind of common perceptions are? What have you struggled with when it comes to influence? I know that for me, I really struggle with the term influencer. For example, I called my book The Influencer Code, as sort of a play on words. Being influential as a job title almost reminds me of like calling yourself God. And I know I'm going to get flack for this one, but it's almost impossible to be this all-knowing, all-being influence over. That means you're influencing every audience over every action, right? The real answer depends on what is the action or behavior or thought and who is the audience. Go ahead, agree with me, disagree with me, leave a comment below, and I cannot wait to see you back here next time.